All right. Hello. This is a, um, a Zoom recording for the Excel assignment to do Monte Carlo. What you should see now on your screen here are side-by-side Google and a spreadsheet here. And when I'm going to the spreadsheet, whenever I click the Save button, what you see is the Monte Carlo lines are changing here. And in effect, what I've done here is I've taken on the left-hand side, this is actual data of some years ago for the stock IBM, 5 years of daily data here. And we're going to download this data and overwrite this from Yahoo. I'll show you how to do that. The idea is once we've downloaded data from Yahoo, historical actual data, what we do is we randomly select from the real returns. These are the actual daily returns. We generate random numbers that index these actual returns, and then we generate a random selection from the actual data. So we're basically using past 5 years to predict the future 5 years here. We're basically assuming that the distribution of returns for IBM will also be similar in the future. But the thing is here, these are random draws here. Each day is assumed to be like a random walk. And that's pretty close to reality on a day-to-day basis. Share prices go up or they go down here. It's difficult to accurately predict up or down on a daily basis. So as we each save here generates a new change, and we have here, I've created here 4 columns here of random pricing here. The first one's done a little differently to generate, we call it, so I can show you here, the random returns. But the long and short of it is, each time I look at the random return column here, each time I press save, these are changing here. Now, look at this number. This is indexing here, the 2 here, it says 0, 0, 0. If I go up here to 2 plus 1, because I've got the header here, it's offset by 1, we see 0, 0, 0 there. So these are the same numbers. This and this was pointing over here. And that's basically how we generate new random choices here, drawing from there. Now it's possible actually that the 2 may show up more than once in this column because it's a random draw. Small probability of that, because over a 5-year period, we have, well, we can see here we have, in this case, over 1,200 of these draws here. So 1 out of 1,200 choice. So somewhere in this column, it might have twice in a row or even 3 in a row, but it's unlikely to ever be more than that, randomly drawing from the first column there. So going back up to top here. So let me show you how. So what for this assignment, I would recommend you open up this Zoom recording, and on the left-hand side, split the screen, and on your right-hand side, you have a template, kind of like I'm showing it side by side now here. But first, let's set up. So the idea here is what I want to show you. This is old data. It's back from some years ago. So let's go on the left-hand side. Let's go to Yahoo Finance. And you'll pick your own stock, but I'm going to pick IBM here. I'm going to update this, refresh this data here. So let's go there. And I'll say maximum. I just want to see here. So this is goes back to 62. IBM actually is a company that's been around for over 100 years. And in its prime, this was the IT company. It was the Amazon of its day, the Google of its day, the Facebook of its day, and it dominated information technology. But it was focused upon what we call mainframe computers or mini computers. And it basically served the Fortune 500 companies and medium-sized companies, but it dominated the Fortune 500, and most of the medium-sized companies used its services also. And it provided what today is provided on the cloud mostly. Unfortunately, IBM several times in its history completely missed the change in technology because it was so focused on mini computers and mainframes and providing computer services itself. It didn't make the transition to desktop computers or laptops, uh, and it was very late to the cloud, providing cloud services. It kept trying to keep its customers for its mainframes and mini computers and its own network. So it hasn't done as well as you would have thought back in the 1980s when this all started. In fact, there's a story behind this. IBM actually had the opportunity to purchase Microsoft. So let's to illustrate, and they repeatedly said no. They refused to buy Microsoft. They didn't think Microsoft would ever amount to much. It wasn't mainframe computers and wasn't mini computers. So there's an interesting tale of management completely misreading the future. So Microsoft, let's go full screen here just to illustrate how management decisions can lead to unfortunate results. Although IBM is still there. So going here, I've got IBM set up already here. So let me open this up to more recent. So over time here, what we see is that on the top, Microsoft has greatly outperformed. And if we can, all right, it doesn't really want to align the way I want it to. But the point here is, historically, IBM has underperformed here for many years now. So let's go back here. Let's go back to IBM. And here, so now we're going to get into the actual exercise. So I want to refresh. I want to use my template. You'll do this for your stock of your choice. You'll enter your stock up here, and you'll do something very similar here. So I'm going to, though, I want to overwrite IBM with new data, because the template has got old data in it from some years ago. So let me go to historical data for IBM. And perhaps I'm going to just have to, I'm going to expand the whole screen here so we can see it all here. All right, I clicked on the wrong thing. All right, so here it says daily, which I want, so it's got daily data. I'm going to stay with that. And then I want to go, I click on the time period here and I choose 5 years. And then I have to say apply to make sure that it does what I want it to here. So after I've clicked apply, then I want to click download. And here it's going to create a CSV file. I'm going to open that up. And let me enlarge this here. So out of this, what I want to do is I'm going to double click here the partition here. So it opens a little wider. Let's see. So these are dates, and to show you, it goes from 2018 to 2023 at the bottom there. So this is the last 5 years, the most recent data for IBM. So I'm going to I just want the pricing data. So I'm going to just to make sure I don't copy it. I'm going to delete this, and now I'm going to copy just the pricing information, go all the way down to the bottom. I want it all. I want all 5 years. So there are here, it went down to 1260, which means I actually have 1259, 1,259 price points here. So I'm going to copy it now. I want to go to my other Excel, the assignment here. Let me open that up wide. And I want to, first of all, click that, the corner here, date, then right click, and let's paste it all. Now, so here, I've got the all the returns here, but they're in the wrong order here. I want these are in the wrong direction here. I want to actually, so I'm going to highlight all 4 columns. I do it by A to E here. I want to reverse this, and I go to data, and I go to sort, and it says on date, and I want it to say, okay, let's. So you look over here, it's now 2023 on top. This just is to get the returns in the right order that I want for this example here. So now it makes sense. Like this point, this is a daily return, so it's quite small, but it went from 136.39 to 136.94. So the price increased. I get a positive return. So it's properly aligned with the rest of my template. If I don't do that, I'm going to get the returns are going to have a different sign. It'll still kind of work, but the trend will be kind of opposite. No big harm if you don't reorder it, but this will actually work the way it's supposed to. So now that's what I want. I've now got the last 5 years, and you'll basically do that for the stock of your choice. You'll overwrite this data just that same way with, let's say, Apple or Google or Facebook or McDonald's, JP Morgan, whichever stock you want, you'll have overwritten this data your own way. But I want to check one thing. I've got to now make some adjustments because my total numbers might be different. So so let me so I'm down here to so this here, just taking a look here, sorry here. It actually went, so it's all the way down here. So I've got to extend, I've got to clean up some things here that got overwritten here. Let me just, because it doesn't matter, so I'm going to cut off some of this. I'm going to clean it up to the point where I get a, mind you, I need to, let's just cut off these last extra ones here. Now, if I cut off one more, I need to leave kind of a blank one there. Otherwise, it does this thing. It can't calculate the return. So I need to have a blank here because it needs to calculate return. It needs the current price and the previous price. P1 minus P0 over P0 kind of calculation here. So I need to have a blank here. Now I have 12, but I'm going to have, it says 1258. So because I've got a header on top, because I've got this header on top, I actually have 1257. So to here, I've got one more. So I have to redo this. I have to sort of, the old data had 1256. So now I've got 1257, enter that. So now this one, now to make the whole column change to the new number, I double click here on the corner, that little square. I put my cross over it and I double click it. And then every single one of them now is 1257. So now I've adjusted my entire range to be the new number of daily returns. So that's all cleaned up and it's working. So now if I click the save again here, what you see is, so these are in the Monte Carlo plot. I've calculated this randomly 4 times here. And then I take the average across these 4, because that's basically how Monte Carlo is done. You run numerous scenarios here, and these are possible futures using the existing distribution. And the purpose of this exercise is to show you how uncertain the future can be. Now, you might argue, well, why would the past 5 years of IBM predict the future 5 years? Well, why wouldn't it? In the sense of big companies like IBM, it has a market cap of 120 billion still, even though it made a lot of mistakes, it's still huge. The answer is that it's like a super tanker in the ocean. It's hard to turn it around. So its past 5 years would probably, for the next 5 years, largely influence or be representative of performance into the future, unless somehow it could magically, quickly, or very quickly make a major change. And I have to say that IBM has attempted to change itself. It's made some major acquisitions for cloud type services, but it has somewhat improved. But if you remember the stock chart, it was actually going sideways here, and we can see that by taking the close here. Let me just, before we complete the exercise, to show you what I mean, because we're basically expressing the belief that the past 5 years. So let's insert a plot here, recommended charts. And so this shows you that over the last 5 years, IBM's performance has basically been sideways. So it's sort of reversed the long-term, it hasn't gone down. Well, like for a while there, if you look here, the first part, it was going down. Then it made a major acquisition, a few major acquisitions here to try to get into cloud services. And it stopped the downward decline, but it's going sideways. It has a lot of competition now. So it's possible to say, well, the past doesn't represent the future. It's suddenly going to start outperforming its competition. But the past doesn't really strongly indicate that. So we're taking the past to indicate the future in this example. Now, in real Monte Carlo software, it's much more complicated than what I'm showing here. This is a simplified Monte Carlo. You can actually adjust its distribution of returns to reflect what you believe the future will be. You could say, well, I believe that it's going to start beating the market by 5% per year, and you could actually adjust the Monte Carlo software to introduce a time trend. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to say the past 5 years will represent the future, and we're going to do random draws. So this creates our future scenarios here. Many different future scenarios, and some of them, sometimes they are, sometimes you get a draw like now where it's a wonderful future. It's possible. It suggests that this is a possibility, this high, that the orange line here. But most of the possibilities in this particular draw are not so good, or sideways. Not terrible, but they're not great. These are pretty lousy returns. It goes from $100 a share to basically 120 over 5 years. Not bad, but that's what 4%, and not really a wonderful return. And some of them are negative. So so the last thing I want you to do to finish this off, a couple things. We're almost there. So I actually want to make you do a little bit more extra work. I've got 4 prices here shown, 4 draws here, and that's like I've got 4 lines on the Monte Carlo plot. I want you to do 8. I want you to insert 4 new columns. And all you have to do, so I've inserted 4 columns here, and I want to copy this and paste this. Now I've got 8. So now but I'm still only showing 4 in my plot here. So now I want you then to, after you have inserted those 4 new prices, I want to adjust the chart here to, so I go to select data here, and it's L here right now. but by adding those 4 columns, okay, that didn't work. One more time, I did something wrong there. Select data here. My cursor wasn't responding very well. Okay, for some reason on the my cursor is not select data. All right, so I'm going to say it's let's just do it the hard way then. My cursor is not really responding on this because I've got it on my laptop. It's not. So it's going to be P $12.58. P $12.58. Sorry, actually. So okay. So now I've got 8 lines there. Sorry about that delay. I was actually having to turn up the light to see it. Okay, now when I press the save here, I get 8 lines again. Now it's more difficult to see, but my point is when you don't just run Monte Carlo 4 times or 8 times, typically you run at least 1,000 times, or more commonly with software, since it's easy, you run it 10,000 times. Now, you wouldn't do it with this. You wouldn't do it in Excel. There are actually programs that specialize in that. But what we see here is, then what we do is we say, okay, these are the, but in our assignment here, these are our scenarios, and we take the average, and so this is our expectation. Among these 8 scenarios, this is our expectation here, right? Because it's the average among all of these here. So this is the most likely outcome as the average here. And we're almost complete. The last thing I want to show you here is, you might say, okay, well, what does this, so here on the random return, that's just this column here. This is what's happening here. This up and down are the daily returns. And as I save and the random return here changes, so does this random return plot here. What does it really represent in terms of distribution? It's a random draw out of the actual returns here. As a last thing to show you, I want to actually, let's go to data here. And I have an add-in called data analysis. Now you might not see that on your Excel. So to add that in, you would have to go to File, down to Options, click Options here, and then I want to go to Add-ins, and I already clicked it in here. So it's got the Analysis Tool Pack, which I want here. So you click on an Analysis Tool Pack, and then you go to Excel Add-in and you say Go. And here I've already got it clicked. You don't need the solver. You just need to click here. So you click in the Analysis Tool Pack, and then you say OK. And what you should see then is in the data analysis should show up on your header here. So once you've got it up there, if it isn't there already, then we pick the data analysis here. And I want to do a histogram just to here to analyze what the data actually is, how it's distributed. So we say OK, and I'm going to. So here first I say the input range, and I'm going to pick all of these random returns here. I'm going to go all the way down. and I say enter. Now I'm going to leave the bin range blank. Excel will do the bins for us. So what I want to do, I want to click though output range and chart. I want chart output here. So so now I've got, now I want to click here on this arrow here to go to the output range. I want to select it. And I'm way at the bottom here, so I'm going to move up. I don't want to have it all the way at the bottom of my data here. I want it right below. I just want it anywhere here below. I just highlight this, doesn't matter what the size of it is, a few cells will do. And then I press enter. Just any shape around here will do. And I press enter. And now I'm good to go. So when I press OK, I now have both I'll move this down a little bit here below the other charts. And I'm going to enlarge it here. And now we're done. So this is the histogram. And what it shows us is that we have a bell curve or a normal curve here. So this is this is representative of the original data. The original data would also have had this a bell curve, but not this identical one. Because we're randomly drawing from the actual data, this bell curve is slightly different than the original, but very, very similar. But it will have a very similar, so each time so this will not change as I press to save. This is once only. So that concludes the assignment here. So now you have done a simplified form of Monte Carlo for the stock that you have chosen. In closing, I want to emphasize this is not an Excel exercise. So don't get bogged down. If you find this difficult to do or have a problem, if you have a classmate who's successfully done it, talk to them, but also feel free to talk to me, email me, come see me office hours, or request a Zoom, and I will quickly help you through it. Or if you've done part of it and it's not working, send me your Excel, but don't get stuck. This is not intended to be a long, drawn-out assignment. The idea is that you will put this Zoom on the left-hand side of your computer, and you'll open up the template on the right-hand side, and step by step, you'll just follow through and you'll complete the assignment. So I thank you very much. I'm going to end at this point.